let's go back and clean up the dispersion game. Going over the homeworks, there was a wide variance in the answers that people produced, and that's understandable in light of how, in my view, awful the instructions were. So let's clean that up now. I'm not expecting anybody to fix this. Essentially, what's going to happen for week 11, if you turned in the assignment with any kind of a response that looked like you got kind of the idea, you got the full points. So no worries there. But just in case this sort of thing shows up on your exam in the lecture part of the course, let's make sure that we understand what's going on. So here we have the two columns of data. And what I want to do now is just show you how to get the correct answers. So let's go down, scroll down to the bottom here, see if I can get this. There we go, I think. Yep. All right, so let's do this. In this cell here, I'm just going to compute the average. So that's equal average. And then it's whatever the first number in that column was. I think it was A2. So A2 all the way through A41. And that should be 0.325, which is what we get. Let's scroll back up and make sure that we're going from A2. Yes. All right, so there we have the average. Let's do the same now for the other data set, or for the random sampling. So there we have equals average, and that's going to be D2 all the way through D91. Very good. So the average there is 0.311. Now what we want to do is compute the chi-square statistic, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to take the observed minus the expected divided by the expected. Now, if you ever take a course in probability and statistics, then you'll learn all about expected values. But in this case, the expected value is nothing more than the mean. So we expect the value that we get to be whatever the mean is. So observed minus expected, that's going to be simply equal to the sum of, and now I want the sum of my observed value, which is in A2, so A2, minus my expected value, which is the mean, and that showed up in A43. So minus A43, although what I want to do now, A43, not A42. There we go. What I want to do now is I want to be able to cut and paste this. So rather than type this little formula in each time, I want to just refer back to A43. And in order to prevent this thing from just indexing all the way down, I'm going to put a little dollar sign right between the A and the 43. So now what happens is every time I copy this, it's always going to refer to A43. Now the next thing I need to do is I want to square this. So I'm just going to put that. Okay, so that's the value for that first cell. And I now need to do this for each data point that we have here for the non-random sampling. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to hit Control C. And now I can just highlight everything down here all the way down to that point and hit Control V. And now it's put in the value there. So the chi-square test is the sum of the quantity observed minus expected squared for each of these cells. So all I have to do now is simply add all of these up. So that's going to be equal to the sum of B2 all the way through to B41. Whoops. Oops, I've done something wrong there. Oops, there we go. B2. There, very good. So now this is the sum of squares, essentially in statistical terms. And what I need to do now is simply divide this value by the expected value to get the chi-square. So my chi-square is going to be equal to the sum of B43 divided by A43. And that gives me a value of 39.3. So now if you compare this value to your figure that's in your instructions for the game here, this will fall either into clumped or evenly distributed or over dispersed. So let's do the same thing over here now. Let's see, we have our mean, and that's in D93. So this is going to be equal to the sum of D2 minus D $93. I think that was what we had. And then we need to square that like so. Let's make sure that it's D93. Scroll all the way back down there. And yep, that is D93. Very good. So now I simply have to copy this, and I can highlight everything down below that. There are many ways to do this. This is the way I do it. Very good. So now all I need to do is I need to sum all of those things. So equals the sum of E2 through E91. And then my chi-square statistic, that's going to be equal to the sum of E93 divided by D93. And now my value is 235.5, which is going to be way off the chart on your graph. But I think it should be pretty clear whether this is uniformly distributed, clumped, or over dispersed. So this is a much easier way to do it than the instructions that you received. Hope this helps. Use this for your records or just in case it shows up on an exam in the lecture part of the class. But this is the easy way to do it. Good deal. Talk to you guys later.